Polyandry, a family form where a woman has multiple husbands, has a diverse and fascinating history, and you might just think it's cool because two husbands means twice the fun for our lady friends. But you'll be surprised by the actual reasons this abnormal tradition has had such a long-lasting impact on our history, and why, for some parts of the world, it still does. Though rarer than polygyny or monogamy, it has persisted across cultures and epochs. Early examples appear on the Tibetan plateau around 5,000 years ago, primarily among fraternal brothers sharing one wife. This practice consolidated family property, preventing economic fragmentation. Similarly, ancient Indian texts, like the Mahabharata, reference polyandry, with the Pandava brothers sharing a wife. These practices were driven by economic, societal, and survival strategies. In some early hunter-gatherer societies, polyandry reduced wife-stealing risks and ensured male protection and resources for women and offspring. In Nepal's Himalayan regions, particularly among the Sherpa and Ninba communities, polyandry helped prevent the division of scarce agricultural land among many heirs. By sharing a single wife, brothers kept family land intact, ensuring higher productivity and food security. This practice suits the harsh environment where cultivable land is limited. Similarly, among the Todas of southern India, polyandry traditionally involved fraternal brothers. A Toda woman would marry all the brothers in a family, consolidating family resources. The Toda people believed this system maintained social harmony and reduced inheritance conflicts. A woman with multiple husbands also increased the chances of continuous hunting, vital for sustenance. Early polyandry practices were thus closely connected to each society's unique environmental and socio-economic challenges. Though not widespread, polyandry was definitely a strategic adaptation that helped early societies thrive in their environments. In ancient Egypt, although less documented, polyandry existed. Its roots are linked to social, economic, and political factors. Ancient Egyptian society was complex and stratified. Pharaohs and elites often practiced multiple marriages for political alliances and power consolidation. By maintaining several marital ties, they secured loyalty and support from different factions. During the Middle Kingdom, which lasted from 2050 to 1710 BC, records suggest polyandry was part of intricate family structures with complex custodial and inheritance arrangements. Archaeological findings indicate some women were married to more than one man simultaneously, often within the same family, likely to preserve property, wealth, and lineage. While not widespread, polyandry in ancient Egypt reveals the adaptability and fluidity of marital customs in response to societal needs. In later periods, such as the New Kingdom, spanning from 1550 to 1070 BC, polyandry appears less frequently, reflecting changes in societal norms and family dynamics. The origins of polyandry in ancient Egypt can also be traced to the significance of agriculture and land ownership. Land was a crucial resource, and its continuous cultivation and inheritance were essential. In families with multiple husbands, the combined labor and resources of several men enhanced agricultural productivity, ensuring the land remained fertile and well-tended. Additionally, polyandry could mitigate the impact of high mortality rates, especially among men involved in warfare or labor-intensive tasks. Marrying multiple husbands secured the family's lineage and labor force, even amidst significant losses. Legal documents from this period reference joint marriage contracts, where property rights and responsibilities were shared among multiple spouses. These contracts included detailed provisions for inheritance, ensuring children from polyandrous marriages were recognized as legitimate heirs. Women in these arrangements held considerable authority, managing both domestic and economic affairs. Their unique position provided them with greater leverage in negotiations and decision-making within their households and communities. Thus, polyandry served as a pragmatic solution to the challenges faced by ancient Egyptian society. Religion influenced polyandry in ancient Egypt. The Egyptian pantheon, with its complex deities like Isis and Osiris, featured stories of marriage, betrayal, and resurrection. These myths likely shaped social norms, including marriage customs. Polyandry might have mirrored divine relationships, reflecting the interconnectedness of deities in human society. Hathor, the goddess of love and fertility, was sometimes depicted with multiple male consorts, symbolizing abundance and prosperity. Such religious motifs could have legitimized polyandrous unions. Temples and religious institutions, central to economic and social life, often had influential priestesses and female officials managing land and resources. Their authority within religious hierarchies might have reinforced polyandrous practices, blending spiritual and pragmatic domains and being deeply intertwined with cultural and cosmological beliefs. Socially, it forged alliances and stabilized familial and political ties. Economically, polyandrous marriages consolidated wealth, enhancing family prosperity and influence. Religiously, polyandry mirrored divine relationships and reinforced norms rooted in mythology and spiritual beliefs. women played a pivotal role, wielding significant influence and authority within households and the community. Their management of family dynamics and economic responsibilities underscored their crucial role in societal cohesion. As discussed, polyandry, where one woman marries multiple men, was rare in ancient civilizations, but traces exist in ancient Greece as well. Information on Greek polyandry primarily comes from myths, legends, and some historical texts. A notable example is Spartan queen Gorgo, who reportedly married multiple men. Although much of this information is intertwined with myth, some aspects reveal reasons behind polyandry in ancient Greece. In Sparta, maintaining equal land distribution among citizens was crucial. Brothers from the same family would jointly marry one woman to avoid dividing family estates, ensuring economic stability. Thus, polyandry was partly driven by economic needs. The exact status and frequency of polyandry in Sparta and other Greek city-states remain debated, but economic, social, and demographic factors played key roles in its existence. Beyond economic reasons, social factors also contributed to polyandry. War significantly influenced demographic patterns, particularly in warrior societies like Sparta, where frequent conflicts reduced the male population. Consequently, the surviving men sought ways to ensure population stability and societal continuity. Polyandry emerged as a solution, allowing men to collectively father the next generation. Additionally, polyandry secured alliances between families. When multiple brothers from one family married a woman from another, it strengthened familial bonds and fostered community unity. Ancient Greek society highly valued male offspring for maintaining family names and property lineage. Polyandry indirectly increased the likelihood of producing male heirs by providing women with multiple husbands, thus securing the family legacy. Moreover, polyandry was a pragmatic response to gender imbalances and societal needs, reflecting adaptive strategies in ancient Greek civilization. The Lycurgan reforms, which shaped Spartan society, also influenced marriage practices by emphasizing collective over individual interests, aligning with polyandry. These reforms required pragmatic approaches to family, marriage, and inheritance, centralizing the equal distribution of wealth and land. Polyandry indirectly maintained social balances, with men marrying multiple women. The agogge, a rigorous educational system for male Spartans, delayed marriages and reduced the number of males available for marriage, making polyandry practical for maintaining birth rates and family lines. Polyandry stabilized property ownership and military strength, foundational to Spartan society. Complex social structures and local traditions influenced its extent. While historical texts provide limited information on polyandry outside Sparta, the economic and demographic motivations observed in Sparta likely applied elsewhere. Besides economic and social factors, religious beliefs likely contributed to polyandry in ancient Greece. The Greeks practiced polytheism, with their gods often engaging in complex relationships, including polygamy and polyandry. These divine examples might have provided a cultural framework, making polyandry more acceptable in certain regions. For instance, the unconventional relationships of gods like Zeus and Hera could have influenced societal norms regarding marriage. Additionally, religious festivals and rituals celebrating fertility and family continuity might have promoted practices ensuring the stability of family lines. Although clear evidence connecting religion and polyandry in ancient Greece is limited, these hypothetical religious influences offer an intriguing perspective on why such practices may have been tolerated or encouraged in certain contexts. Analyzing legal texts and historical records helps us understand the practicalities underpinning polyandry, revealing the interplay between law, economy, and demography in shaping marriage practices in ancient Greece. The geographical and cultural diversity of Greece likely influenced the presence of polyandry. Ancient Greece was a mosaic of city-states, each with distinct customs, laws, and social structures. Different regions faced unique challenges, leading to varied marriage practices. In rural or isolated communities, where survival hinged on maximizing resources and ensuring lineage continuity, polyandry might have been more acceptable or necessary. Coastal communities, influenced by trade and interaction with diverse cultures, likely had different marital practices. Additionally, the influence of neighboring regions and external cultures introduced through conquest, trade, or colonization played a role. Regions influenced by cultures known for polyandry might have adopted similar customs. For example, interactions with cultures from Asia Minor or the Middle East could have introduced or reinforced polyandry. The adaptable and pragmatic nature of Greek society allowed them to incorporate diverse practices to meet local needs and circumstances. While not as prevalent as other marriage forms, polyandry reflects the Greeks' broader adaptive capacity. Future studies delving into archaeological findings, historical texts, and mythological sources can elucidate the extent and nuances of polyandry in ancient Greece, enriching our understanding of Greek social history and the practical and symbolic roles this practice played. And now, the big red country where all the stuff gets made. China. Polyandry in ancient China dates back to legendary times. Historical texts like the Book of Documents, or Shujing, and the Book of Songs, or Shijing, hint at polyandric practices, especially in areas with agricultural challenges and resource management issues. Buddhist scriptures from the 1st millennium AD also mention polyandry, adding a religious aspect to its acceptance. Notable ethnic groups practicing polyandry included the Tibetans, Pumi, Sherpa, and Chang peoples. These communities often faced harsh environments, making solo familial economic survival difficult. Polyandry helped families stay unified and resilient against external pressures and secured landholdings from fragmentation due to inheritance laws. Over time, this practice became embedded in these cultures, forming a cornerstone of their societal structure. Polyandry, often tied to economic and environmental factors, reveals intriguing social dynamics in ancient China. In these communities, the social structure was significantly altered. The practice created a stable family environment where duties and responsibilities were shared among multiple male members. This cooperation facilitated efficient labor division and fostered strong familial bonds. For women in polyandrous marriages, the system offered protections and securities. Multiple husbands mitigated the risks associated with losing a single provider. Widows and their children wouldn't be left destitute, as other husbands would continue to support the family. Polyandry in ancient China varied across regions and ethnic groups. In Tibet, it was predominantly fraternal, with brothers marrying a single woman to maintain inheritance and coordinate agricultural labor, addressing arable land scarcity and harsh climates. Among the Pumi, polyandry arose from frequent male absenteeism due to trade or military duties, ensuring a male presence to support the household. In the Himalayan regions, Sherpa and Chiang communities practiced polyandry to survive harsh conditions and isolation, fostering familial cooperation. Polyandry also provided social stability by balancing the male-to-female ratio, preventing tensions from gender imbalances, and controlling population growth in resource-scarce areas. These marriages formed larger, more stable extended families compared to monogamous ones, providing a collective support system. Defined roles for each husband, from agricultural work to household protection, led to efficient management of family and external affairs. Children benefited from multiple paternal figures, receiving broader support and resources, enhancing their upbringing and education. Socially, polyandry reduced competition among men for wives, stabilizing communities with high male-to-female ratios. Communal inheritance in polyandrous families prevented property fragmentation, maintaining family power and stability across generations. These social structures helped communities endure external pressures and internal frictions, ensuring their survival. Polyandry in ancient China, despite its benefits, faced challenges and criticisms. This unique marital arrangement often led to complex family dynamics. Jealousy and rivalry among brothers sharing the same wife were potential issues, requiring strong cultural norms to manage tensions. Compromises and negotiations were essential to maintain household harmony. Additionally, polyandry complicated lineage and genealogical records, as children had multiple paternal figures. Determining succession and inheritance rights necessitated clear and often complex legal frameworks. Despite these challenges, the benefits of polyandry, such as economic stability, social cohesion, and demographic balance, often outweighed the downsides. Interestingly, polyandry evolved as an adaptive strategy rather than being imposed. Its persistence over centuries highlights its effectiveness in addressing specific environmental, economic, and social challenges. As societies evolved and conditions changed, polyandry diminished, replaced by other forms of marriage more suited to new circumstances. As modern China developed, polyandry fell out of favor. Confucianism's emphasis on monogamous family structures eroded the cultural foundation supporting polyandrous unions. Legal reforms during the Qing dynasty and the establishment of the People's Republic of China introduced marriage laws emphasizing monogamy, making polyandry illegal. Economic changes, such as industrialization and urbanization, also played a role by reducing reliance on agricultural practices that made polyandry advantageous. The rise of individual property rights diminished communal landholding that supported polyandrous families. Despite this decline, polyandry persisted into the 20th century, especially in remote rural communities where traditional practices lingered. Next up, the Romans, who can always surprise us with something wacky. Though unconventional today, it was not rare in Roman society. Social, economic, and political factors contributed to its prevalence. It stemmed from social structures prioritizing familial alliances and economic stability over romance. Rome's legal system allowed flexible marriage contracts, including multiple husbands for one wife, especially useful during wartime when the male population dwindled. Thus, polyandry addressed societal needs, reflecting Rome's pragmatic legal and social systems. Roman society emphasized family and lineage, and polyandry upheld these values. This comprehensive approach to marriage prioritized familial and societal obligations over personal relationships. Wealth and property were often managed collectively within families. With multiple husbands, a woman could pool more resources, enhancing the family's economic stability. This arrangement benefited elite families with vast estates and wealth, providing more hands to manage resources and forge political alliances. Inheritance laws favoring male heirs meant several husbands could amass and retain more assets within the family. Religious and cultural beliefs in ancient Rome supported polyandry. Roman religion and mythology emphasized family continuity and ancestor veneration. The Vestal Virgins, priestesses maintaining Vesta's sacred fire, symbolized hearth and family continuity. Polyandry, with multiple male protectors, aligned with these values. Roman myths featured gods and heroes with complex family arrangements, normalizing non-traditional marriages. The adaptability of Roman religious practices and cultural integration within the empire fostered a flexible approach to marriage. The practice of polyandry highlights the pragmatic and strategic approach of Romans toward marriage and family life. Instead of being rigidly bound by traditional norms, Romans leveraged marital arrangements to optimize family welfare and security. Next up, the Christian influence. You guessed it, it's the good old strict Middle Ages. Early Middle Ages records mention polyandrous noble families, notably in Brittany, France, aiming to consolidate land and preserve bloodlines. Another example is in the Pyrenees Mountains, spanning France and Spain. Isolated communities adopted polyandry due to economic and environmental pressures, using it to avoid dividing limited arable land into smaller plots. This practice pooled resources, ensuring economic survival and maintaining social status. In Brittany, 6th and 7th century records detail instances of polyandry among the aristocracy. One notable case involved Count Hole III's family, where two brothers shared a wife to preserve their estates. This consolidation prevented land fragmentation and ensured smooth property succession. By maintaining unified estates, noble families secured political influence and economic power. Polyandry, though practical in some regions, was not widely accepted in medieval Europe. It faced resistance from societal and religious norms favoring monogamy. The influential Catholic Church opposed polyandrous unions, promoting monogamous marriages as ideal and pressuring communities to conform. However, in areas like Brittany and the Pyrenees, strong local socioeconomic needs sometimes outweighed ecclesiastical opposition. This tension between local practices and religious doctrine highlights the complexity of medieval marital customs. In isolated communities, the practical need for polyandry often led to selective acceptance. Local authorities might overlook polyandrous arrangements if they ensured economic stability and social order. And now, hopping on to the continent down south, in Africa, different tribes practiced polyandry for reasons like economic necessity and social structure, but for many weird reasons as well. You're going to want to hear it. Polyandry in the Maasai community of Kenya and Tanzania often manifests as levirate marriage, where a widow marries her deceased husband's brothers. This practice ensures the widow and her children's protection and welfare, maintains the family unit, and secures family assets. In West Africa, the Irigwe people in Nigeria practiced polyandry, though less commonly than other marriage forms. For the Irigwe, polyandry ensured women had multiple male protectors in a conflict-prone region. This practice was driven by the need for security, not economic necessity. Multiple husbands provided safety for women and their children in a volatile environment. Polyandry in African culture is also evident among the Nyarwanda of Rwanda. It was part of a broader strategy for alliances and power consolidation. Multiple men within a family might marry the same woman to consolidate wealth and influence. This allowed powerful families to control their assets and influence community decisions. In northern Namibia's Dry River region, the Himba people practiced polyandry to ensure community survival in a harsh environment. As semi-nomads, they adopted polyandry due to the challenges of their arid surroundings. A woman with multiple husbands could gather more resources like livestock and water, essential for survival. This practice distributed risks and responsibilities among several men, offering better insurance for the family's sustenance. It also helped manage population growth and kept the community adaptable to unpredictable climatic conditions. Among the Mbuti Pygmies of Central Africa, polyandry arose due to their societal structures and ecological demands. Living in dense rainforests, the Mbuti depended on hunting and gathering, requiring adaptable family systems. Polyandry fostered cooperation and resource sharing. Multiple husbands contributed to communal hunting, enhancing the likelihood of successful hunts. This cooperative method also ensured efficient resource allocation, meeting essential needs. By combining efforts and resources, the Mbuti Pygmies sustained a viable lifestyle in their challenging environment. Across diverse African cultures, polyandry served multiple purposes, from economic stability to social cohesion. In regions with harsh environments or frequent conflicts, the practice helped communities adapt and survive. It ensured resources were pooled and managed collectively, offered protection and sustenance to women and children, and maintained social structures. Though less common than monogamy or polygyny, polyandry's strategic value cannot be underestimated. Now that we've heard that, let's go forward in time. During the 18th and 19th centuries, polyandry faced significant challenges due to colonialism and the spread of Western cultural norms. European colonial powers often deemed polyandry barbaric and primitive, leading to efforts to suppress it and enforce monogamous marriage. In British India, colonial authorities stigmatized polyandry, especially in Ladakh and parts of South India, where it was more prevalent. Missionaries and officials promoted monogamous Christian marriages as a mark of civilization. Despite this, locals sometimes continued polyandrous practices discreetly, valuing their socio-economic benefits. Polyandry's persistence in Tibet during the 19th century is notable. Throughout the late 19th and early 20th centuries, anthropologists began studying polyandrous societies, documenting their customs and rationales. These studies highlighted that polyandry was often a practical solution to specific environmental and social challenges rather than a mere cultural peculiarity. In the mid-20th century, polyandry persisted despite modernization and legal pressures. In Nepal, the 1950s laws banned polyandrous marriages, yet remote Himalayan regions continued the practice to manage limited resources and maintain family unity. It kept land undivided, crucial in areas with sparse agricultural opportunities. Media, education, and governmental policies promoted monogamous relationships, redefining societal expectations. I thank you all sincerely who took the time and watched the video. If you found it interesting, go check out our other videos, which should have already appeared on the screen by now. Be sure to smash the like and subscribe buttons so you won't miss our future crazy thumbnails and videos. Your history provider, history but fast.